is Shelby. So today in our flipped lesson, we're going to discuss the three branches of government. So we're going to review first, and to start off, we're going to review about our last lesson, which was about the president. So my 3 points that we're going to review today are voting for the president, who's able to vote for the president, and why we need to vote for a president, or why we need a president in the United States. So to start off, voting for a president, election day occurs every 4 years on the first Tuesday in November. Now, you have two different parties that you can vote for. Well, there's more, but the two main ones that a lot of people vote for are Republican and Democrat. These two parties have different opinions or views on certain topics in our country. Your parents or your grandparents or anyone that you know can either vote Republican or Democrat or one of the other lesser known parties, but the two main parties that we have are Republican and Democrat, and that's who vote for the president is your either or party. So who is able to vote for the president? Now, you must be 18 years or older in order to vote for the president. So a lot of people who will be voting for the president are your mom, your dad, grandparents, aunt, uncles, and maybe even your older siblings if they're old enough, if they're at least 18 years old. So you as a child are not able to vote for the president because you're not 18 years old yet. You'll one day have that advantage. So another few topics or another few things about voting for the president, kind of regulations are you cannot be in prison to vote for the president. Like, prisoners cannot vote for the president because they've given up their right, they've given up their right to vote when you go to prison. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Another thing is that you must be a legal U.S. citizen in order to vote for the president. And my last point is why we need a president. And this one is kind of important as to why we need to vote for a president, because if you don't vote at all, then you're not voicing your opinion that you're able to have. So we need to vote for a fair leader for our country so we will not have a monarchy. And a monarchy is what England is. England has a king and a queen, or a ruler, one overall ruler that comes up with the laws and regulations for their country. We as the United States, however, decided that we do not want to have only one ruler, that we want to have equal power throughout the United States so that everyone is able to have a chance to voice their opinion and be heard. So before we talk about the three branches of government, which is how we're able to voice our opinion and be heard equally, we're going to review some terms that will be in this lesson. So I would like you to find a piece of paper and pencil so that way we're able to write down these important terms that will help you throughout the lesson. So veto is when a president refuses to sign a bill to become official law. When a president vetoes a law or a bill, that means they are not accepting it and that they do not want it to be a law or a bill in the United States. A law, which I've been saying a lot, is a set of rules established by a country that are considered appropriate actions for a community or country. So a lot of common laws that are in the United States are you can't steal from people, or you can't run a red light, or you can't run a stop sign. Those are kind of more like driving and you should know not to do that kind of law, but those are some overall laws for our country. Now, we do get into detail about other laws that are prohibited, but that's basically what a law is it's a action set in place, an official action set in place, prohibiting you to do bad things. Supreme justices, these are people who It is the highest court in the judicial branch in the United States that consists of 9 members. So the 9 members are who we're talking about. They are the Supreme Justices. And in the judicial system, which we'll learn about later, is basically made up of courts. And the Supreme Justices are the members of the highest court in our system of the United States. And the last one that we'll kind of hear about, but it's not something that we'll talk about a whole lot in this lesson, is impeachment or impeach, which is when an official is removed from office. So you may have heard that the president is able to be impeached if he does a wrong action that the people do not approve of, or more specifically, the legislative branch of government does not approve of. They can call an impeachment on the president or an official member if they see that they are not acting appropriately, or if they've done something that is not appropriate for the United States. Okay, so we're moving on. So, what is the 3 branches of government and why do we need them? Basically, the 3 branches of government consist of the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Those are the 3 important ones. I'll say that again. They consist of the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. These branches are what help our country be able to have a fair and equal opportunity and system of living. Okay, so the President of the United States does not make all of the decisions. We elect people from all around our country to represent these 3 branches who we think will do a good job. Because if we had the president make all the decisions of our country, then we would technically be a monarchy, and that is not what we wanted. And so these 3 branches help the president make important decisions based on our country. So to first start off, we're going to talk about the legislative. And the legislative is Congress. And Congress is made up of 2 parts. The first part is the Senate, and the second part is the House of Representatives. So to review that kind of again, the Senate and the House of Representatives make up Congress, and Congress makes up the legislative branch of government. If you need to go back and rewind this to understand that again, go ahead. But the Senate has 100 members in it, which consists of 2 senators from each state. And senators are people who we elect in our own state. The House of Representatives has 435 members in their section to make up the House of Representatives. And overall, the main job of the legislative branch of government is to write laws and bills to send to the president. They go back and forth to decide on what laws they think would be good for the country and what laws would not be good for the country. So they go back and forth, and then once they've finally come up with a law that they think the president would approve of, they send it over to the president. Now, the president is his own branch of government as well. And he is the executive branch of government. So, like I said again, the president is the executive branch of government. And he is not the only one in the executive branch of government, but he is the main figure. The executive branch also consists of the vice president and his cabinet members, which help him to decide on whether or not a law should be passed or vetoed. And his main job as president is to not only represent our country well, but to also carry out laws and command the armed forces, such as the military, the Air Force, things of that nature. Now to go on to our next branch, we have the judicial branch. And like I said earlier, the judicial branch is made up of courts. Not just one court, but many courts across the country. The most well-known court is the Supreme Court, which I said consists of 9 Supreme Court justices. So let me say that again. The Supreme Court consists of 9 Supreme Court justices. And they are in charge of making an overall decision on whether or not they think the law that the president passes is right or not. So they execute the laws. Judicial Supreme Court members serve a life sentence. So they're not able to be fired or quit their job. They must serve on this court until death do them part, basically. And like I said, their main job is they can declare laws unconstitutional and execute laws. So they are the ones who carry out the laws. They are the ones who tell the people, you need to follow these laws. So that is the judicial. Just to review a little over the three branches of government, kind of facts and whatnot. So the legislative branch can override the president if he vetoes a law. Let me say that again. The legislative branch can override the president or the executive branch if he vetoes a law. Meaning that if the legislative branch comes up with a law that they think is really good and they send it to the president vetoes it. Well, they think since there are more members in the legislative, they think that their law was really good, so they can override that and take it to the judicial court to be battled between, kind of. They can have a, not argument, but a civilized argument over whether or not they think the law is appropriate to put in place. But they have to have a 2/3 vote in order to override the president's veto. Like I said, the Judicial Supreme Court justices serve a lifetime. They're not allowed to get out of their jobs unless they pass away. And the most common shape that is associated with the three branches of government is a triangle. Now, you may wonder why it's a triangle and not like a circle or a square. Since there are 3 points on a triangle, 1, 2, 3, and there are 3 branches of government, legislative, judicial, and executive, they all run equally, meaning one branch is not more powerful than the other. We put this in place, again, to not have a monarchy, because if we had a monarchy, we would only have one ruler. By having the 3 branches, or 3 points, we have an option, or almost a equalized form of government, is what I'd like to call that. So here again, this is the legislative, judicial, and executive. And it doesn't matter which one's the top point of the triangle or which one's the bottom point. They all share it equally. They all share their powers equally. Another image that is related to the 3 branches of government is obviously a tree, because I keep saying branches. A tree is related to the 3 branches of government, or associated with the 3 branches of government, because a tree is able to grow and flourish. And if these 3 branches of government cannot learn to work together and grow together, then our system would fail. Now, we also make sure that each branch is treated fairly and equally in order to be able to grow, such as this tree. And that basically ends our lesson today. So, if you need extra help or want to learn a little more about this, you can go to Flocabulary, which is a great video resource to learn more about this topic. So the video for the government series is called Flocab Government - Students Rapping, and it's a fun little video that you can watch to understand more about our government in an easier way for you. So if my video was not helpful and you go to this video, you're going to be able to understand this topic through song or rap, which is always a fun thing to do. So I hope you've enjoyed this flipped lesson, and I hope you go and watch that FloCab video to understand a little more about our 3 branches of government. Thank you.